Okay, so the first few questions are just to kind of clarify your role and your experience in education. So how long have you been working in schools and what has your role been?
So I started teaching in 1992, so quite a long time. I spent 13 years in a secondary school in Oakhampton, and then I came here in 2005.
Right.
I came here as head of English. I then became assistant head, and then Senko, then designated teacher as part of that. And so that's where I am now. So assistant head, Senko, and as I've just told you earlier, Senko in another school as well.
Yeah. Okay, lovely, thank you. And can you clarify your role with refugee children in the school currently?
So part of my remit has always included EAL students, and for the last several years has included being designated teacher for children in care. So over that time, we've accepted children in care who are refugee children, unaccompanied asylum seekers. So that's how I've come into contact with those children.
Yeah, okay. And how many refugee children do you work with?
At the moment, I'm working with 2 asylum seeking. One of them is a refugee, has got refugee status.
Right? Okay, yeah. Okay, so one who's still an asylum seeker, one who's refugee. Lovely. And what year group or age are they?
They are in year 11.
Lovely. And do you know when they arrived to the UK, or when did your work start with them?
Our work started with them. One of them started about a year ago, and as far as I know, that was pretty soon after he arrived. And the other lad, that was about 2.5, 3 years ago.
Okay. So they've been here for a while then.
Yeah, but we were their first school though.
Yeah. Okay. And how long after you started working with refugee children did you access the training that came to you in November?
Quite a while, because we've had children before come through the school.
Right.
That came through, and I thought there's always more to know. And my colleague that I came with as well was also keen. And I think that's been a really good thing about the school, is people are interested and want to do more and know more. So
that makes a big difference, doesn't it? Okay, and have you ever received any other training to support your work with refugee pupils?
I went to Devon organised a conference.
Right, okay.
As a one-off, I think, about 2 years ago. So I went to that, but that was more about it was more about children in care specifically, I think. So it was the nurses talking about that experience, and we heard from Colin Mitchell, who I think at county level virtual school has some involvement.
Yeah.
So it felt more about like the practicalities as much as anything of like, if you're a designated teacher, it's helpful to know these things.
Yeah, okay. And it wasn't just refugee children in care or asylum seeking children in care, or it was?
Yeah, no, it was. It was specifically for unaccompanied asylum seeking children.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point, all the years blend into one after a while. I think it was when, because of the Dublin Agreement, we'd taken some more children.
Yes.
And we had more here, and we were expecting to have still more.
Right. Okay.
And then I think the government kind of went back a bit on that, didn't they? So.
Yeah. Okay. And did you choose to attend the training yourself, or was it kind of a mandatory thing?
No, I chose to attend it, and when I found out about it, I sent it around to other staff, so that other member of staff that went chose as well.
Right. Okay.
Nobody's made to.
Lovely. Thank you. Okay. So now the questions are going to be sort of more focused on the training itself, and there are absolutely no right or wrong answers.
Okay.
Please do be honest. And if it was before Christmas and a lot has happened between now and then, so if you can't remember, that's absolutely fine to say, can't really remember, or that's okay. Okay, so how useful did you find the training in your practice?
Yeah, I did find it useful. I think it's always worth just taking the time out and stopping and thinking again. And I did learn some more things. Like, actually, I've been doing that for quite a while, and I wasn't clear about the difference between being asylum seeking and having refugee status,
Yeah.
So it was really good to clarify that. It was also good that I went with the person that I went with, because that gave me a chance to talk to somebody else who, is teaching children all day, which actually I'm not doing anymore. And kind of finding out what she knew as somebody who already is really engaged, I'd say, but actually I can get complacent because I know certain things. You kind of forget what you know, don't you?
Yeah.
So going with somebody who saw it differently was really helpful too. But there were, it's always interesting to hear what other people said, to find out about Exeter College, because we feed into them and they were there.
Yeah.
So that was helpful. Watching that video, moving as it was, I hadn't seen that before, and actually that sort of just trying to get on that wavelength is quite helpful, isn't it? Because again, you can get quite school focused and forget, I think. We try really hard not to, but like the person behind it and the story behind it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of, the sort of bigger picture.
And it's part of my job is kind of trying to project that across to other people. So like the more tools I've got or ways of doing that or ways to sort of strike a chord in them, I think that's really helpful.
Yeah. Okay, great, thank you. So have you found that you have used aspects of the training in practice, or has your practice changed in any way?
Yeah, I think I was talking about it afterwards actually, and in PEP meetings as well. And actually, that whole thing about the refugee status, for example, came up in a meeting not very long afterwards.
Right.
And I just think also it's not even necessarily a conscious thing, but just that understanding when I'm talking to those children, and the more reflecting that I've done about that experience, I think it's not even a conscious thing, but it's just more that you bring to it, isn't it? And actually, thinking about where they've come from, what they've gone through, because we don't, for obvious reasons, get them to verbalise that a lot, but I think it's helpful to sort of be able to sort of say to them something about reflecting about the experience that I think they might have had and what that might have felt like. And I know before that's really struck a chord with them as well.
Right, okay,
That somebody's at least trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, like you say, even if you don't completely understand, that there's a recognition,
that... And that they don't have to tell you it all either, but you can just sort of take some things as really.
Yeah, absolutely, okay, and do you have any, are there any aspects of the training that you feel you've used most in practice, or have kind of been the most sort of influential?
I think it was just that reflecting on the whole, what is it like for those children? Yeah. Sorry, there's somebody at my door.
That's fine.
Oh yeah.
Did you leave that behind earlier? Is that yours?
No, I did not, unless I've stolen somebody else's. Thanks.
Sorry. No, it didn't have a phone charger on there. No. Oh, weird.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So I think it is that experiential thing, really, and just reflecting on that. And there's still elements of it that I haven't used yet, but I think I will.
Right.
When I'm presenting to other people.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any specific bits that you think you might use, or?
Yeah, I think with the exercises we were doing about what might that have felt like, what might you have been through, what could you have experienced, and because we're thinking about that as a school and not just about asylum seekers or refugees, but also about that. Trauma. We're trying to become a more trauma-informed school. Yeah. So I think all of those things kind of overlap, don't they?
Yeah. Definitely.
And so I think that will be helpful too.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the things that I sort of wanted to do with the training was that obviously it's directed towards working with refugee children, but that actually it's applicable to a lot of other children in different situations as well, different parts of it. Obviously,
yeah. And sort of degrees as well, perhaps. But yeah. Because I think it's hard to share with teachers as well children's whole history, and you wouldn't want to necessarily, and they don't want it all rehashing. But I think those little things that help people sort of get it a bit.
Yeah. So you don't have to kind of spill out their whole personal history, like you say, but they can still have an understanding, a better understanding.
Yeah. And what it is like to be here when they are requiring English. They've had this very, very different experience, and they've come from a really different place. And that all these layers, isn't it, that are going on for that child? Yeah. That when you're a busy classroom teacher,
Yeah.
it's hard to keep in the forefront.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and is there any parts of the training that you felt have not been useful or didn't need to be included or anything?
No.
Okay. And have there been any barriers to using the training or any aspects of the training?
No, I don't think so. No. It's just what's relevant